Welcome to Young and Rich Podcast. Today we're talking to Suzette Chambers with asset protection secrets, protecting your money from financial scavengers. What does that mean? We talk about spouse, we talk about credit, we talk about creditors, how to secure your money, how to secure your asset, how to secure your financial liability now and the future. Hi, Suzette. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Frank?
I'm doing excellent. I think we sung better now.
Way better. Yes, yes,
Okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
excellent. So you've been on our podcast before, and a lot of people recognize you and remember you, and you leave an impact on a lot of our guests. And it's funny thing, one young lady contacted me. She says, I want to get access to the lady that was on your show. I said, which lady? I have a whole bunch of them. She says, the one that can cook. So she remember you from
I love
your,
it.
yeah,
I like
exactly.
that. Yes,
She
yes,
remember you from
yes.
your food. So you can tell, obviously, she's a foodie. So I just share your contact and hope you guys connect.
I love
So,
that. Thank
so
you.
folks that haven't watched the other episode, give them a snapshot of you, what you're about, and your journey, and this towards this financial your financial journey.
Okay, so my name is Suzette Chambers. I love to start with that because I love my name.
Very good. You have a beautiful name.
I'm an insurance and investment broker. So I came into the industry around 6 years ago. This is a second career for me. So I always like to say, hey, if you're ever thinking about starting a second career, if you're not happy with what you're doing, start a second career and do what you love to do, because that is what I did. And I'm in this industry, in the financial services industry. I have no history, like I don't have a family that came from it. This is just purely my interest and what I love to do. So I became an advisor, and here I am trying to educate and to empower not just women, but everyone that who could learn from the information that I provide. And I love to go from an information standpoint, because the things that I share about finances and how to empower yourselves are things that I've experienced myself. So that is just a little bit about me. I have my own brokerage, and I
Very
built that
good.
on my own without any previous experience. It's just I learned along the way. So this is where I am. So we're all going to learn together, and that's just a little bit about me.
Excellent, excellent. So we're talking today about asset protection, how to protect your asset from, and you can give us how do someone protect their asset? More important.
More importantly, in order to protect your asset, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan. You need to sit down and think about all the assets that you own and how you would like that plan to work, not just for you, but for your loved ones as well.
Right.
So the number one thing you need to do is to have a plan, and that starts with sitting down, writing down a list of all your assets, and decide what you want to do with that if you were to be incapacitated or indisposed, or die.
Now, I'm going to speak from a consumer perspective, and you're going to speak from
Okay.
a professional perspective, because I'm going to speak for the average consumer. If I don't have any assets, do I need to protect anything?
Absolutely. That is, listen, you need, whether you have, and people think, oh, I don't have a house, or I don't have any money, or
Right.
I don't need to protect. You need to protect yourself, because here's what, even if you don't have any asset, the number one asset is yourself,
Right.
right? Asset doesn't have to mean, proper real estate or investments. Asset is yourself. So absolutely, you need to have a plan for yourself as well, because what if something happened to you? Who is going to make decision on your behalf? Will it be the government? Will it be your mother that you haven't spoken to in 10 years? Will it be the brother that you don't like? Come
Right.
on. So yes, this is why I'm passionate about this, because these are objections that I get all the time,
Right.
and you do need to protect yourself.
So yeah, because the number one question I always hear from people, well, Frank, what am I protecting? I don't have any asset. And what you're saying, even before you said, first of all, you the individual is a number one asset, and
Absolutely.
even before you acquire the results of it, which is the insurance or the investments or the real estate, you need to have a plan in place
Yes.
in how to protect that asset. So what's
Correct.
the first plan I need to put in place to start protect my asset from a brand new person start off, just finished university or college, or just come to the country as a new immigrant, and I haven't started off doing anything yet. Just got a job, And what's the first asset I need to start, or the first step I need to start taking in order to protect my future?
The number one thing you need to do is to put protection on yourself. So you get some life insurance, you get some critical illness insurance and disability insurance. Number one, because more than likely, if you're a new immigrant to this country, you might have dependents back at home or family that probably will be depending on your income as well here.
Right.
And if you become sick or injured on the job and you're unable to work, you need to have some disability insurance that could supplement that income. Right. So, and again, like I said, before you even do that, you need to know what the plan is. How much money do I need in order to continue to maintain my standard of living while I'm recovering from an illness or while I am injured and disabled? Yes, you may get some workplace benefits, but how long will those benefits last? Waiting periods, all those things. You need to know what that plan is looks like for you. Then you approach an advisor, or you can work with an advisor that can help you determine the total amount of income you're going to need to supplement yourself while you're recovering through this disability or illness, right?
Right.
So that's the number one thing. Once you get that plan, you know what you need, you get the plan in place. You put in the disability. All right, I know that every month while I am off work, I will need an extra $700 or $800 a month to make up the difference between what my workplace is employers are paying me the benefit, right?
Right.
Then once you know that, you get that disability plan in place, you pay for that every month, you get a critical illness plan in place, because you're thinking now, and this is how I always help clients think about it. So your annual income is $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to get maybe 3 to 6 months full benefits from your employer, but here you are recovering from cancer. Okay, the most common illness that people are diagnosed with these days.
Right.
It's going to take you at least 2 years to fully recover from this illness, because most people, face it, Frank, are surviving these illnesses, right?
Yes.
They're recovering because medicine has advanced. So there's more treatment options for people.
Mm-hmm.
But the number one thing, and this is if you come to this country, you're a new immigrant. I'm talking from not just that perspective, but if you're an individual working, whatever your plan is, you know, whether you're employed, self-employed, or whatever your situation.
Right.
You get the critical illness plan in place, on top of your disability payments coming in every month, right? So now you've been diagnosed with the illness, you make a claim, you get, let's say, $200,000 is your annual income. You need to supplement at least 50% of that. So you get $100,000 critical illness policy in place. You get a lump sum payment. That lump sum payment, you choose how you want to spend that. Okay, you know what? I heard they have some experimental treatment in Germany. I'm going to take some of this money, go to Germany and get some experimental treatment. You can do that with your money. When
Right.
you get that lump sum payment, it's not like your workplace benefit or EI or WSIB.
Right.
Nobody dictates to you how you spend this money. And that is in addition to those benefits.
Right.
You understand? So it comes to you, you do what you need to do with it, and that is how you protect yourself. Because I'll tell you this, if you know 5 people, 1 out of those 5 people are going to be diagnosed with a critical illness.
Wow. Is that the percentage is that high?
The percentage is that high. Frank, I could name 10 women off the top of my head, and I could tell you that 3 or 4 out of those 10 women have had a diagnosis.
Wow.
Okay?
Excellent.
Or they know someone. I know, like I can
crazy numbers.
the top of my head how many women I know that's been diagnosed with a critical illness.
So here's where the asset, where you, as you mentioned, you are the number one asset to be protected.
Absolutely.
Even before we talk about your investments and your real estate and any other financial results that you have created, you are the number one asset.
Yeah.
So that's excellent information too. So let's moving forward. So we have all that in place already: the insurance, the liability, and all the critical illness. All that's in place already. Now we're moving on to marriage, spouse, and that comes in different angles these days. It comes from 2 single individuals getting married, no kids, and it also comes from 2 individuals getting together Both have kids from previous relationships.
Okay, like a blended family.
Right. A blended family. So how do we protect our assets? Or do we need to? Or how do we put ourselves in a position where we're being protected at all different angles?
I'm laughing because this is one of the most challenging parts of my job is getting individuals to put a plan in place that protect them and their assets.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'll tell you this, and I'm not making these statistics up. It's a
Right.
fact. 60 or 50% of all unions, marriage, or common law relationship end in a separation or a divorce.
Ouch.
It's a fact. And you can Google it if you want, because
Yeah.
I tell no lies. Okay, Frank?
Right.
So here's what I would recommend. Now, like I said, what I know now, I wish I knew back then. Right? Because I also have a blended family.
Excellent.
Okay.
Very good. Very good.
And the assets that my spouse and I have are assets that we've accumulated together.
Right.
So it's not like we came in the relationship, he had this and I had that. Right? We came and we built this foundation together. So now it's a matter of how do we balance everything? How do we make sure that when we have, and number one, we have to have an estate plan.
Yeah.
And a will. A will and an estate plan is very essential whether you have children or not, right? Because some people say, oh, I don't have any kids and I don't need to leave anything to anybody because I don't have any children. It doesn't matter. You still need to have a will and an estate plan. So if you're coming in, let's talk about if you're a single person first.
Right.
You're single. Again, you came to this country, you had nothing, you built up your asset, you own a couple of real estate properties, you have also your investments, your stocks and your bonds and whatever it is that you have.
Right.
And you've accumulated all this asset on your own through hard work. So now you go to Jamaica, you meet a guy, he sweeps you off your feet because, the Jamaican man, them when them start talking up, Frank.
It sounds like I feel like I heard this storyline before. Let's continue anyways.
I tell you, Frank, I tell no lies, okay?
Yes.
So you bring him up, you marry him against the advice of your friends and family. Oh, I'm in love. He's not like that.
It's not like the rest of them.
Different. He's not like the rest of them. And he comes up and you move him into your house. And, after a while, the relationship starts to break down.
Right.
Because now he's also brought in 2 and 3 of his kids.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? And they're now living in your house and they're disrespecting you. And you're like, oh, can't take this no more. You need to go. He doesn't have to leave, ma'am.
Why doesn't he have to leave?
Because you didn't have an agreement. You didn't protect yourself.
So she did not protect herself or protect her assets from her incoming spouse.
Right.
Even though she had assets previously to him being with her.
Correct.
Now, what other ways could she have prevent this disaster from happening where not only is she going to lose her spouse, she risks the potential of losing a lot of her assets as well. How could she protect herself?
She could have protected herself with what they call a marriage contract. And the marriage contract, it would state that these are her assets. And if the relationship was, or the marriage were to break down, he's not entitled to any of her asset. Another thing she could have done, instead of moving him into her home, she could have possibly rented out that home, right? And then they could have purchased the property together.
Right.
So that is the other option.
Purchase another property together, but the new property they purchased would have become the matrimonial home. Is that correct?
Exactly. Correct.
So he's only entitled to a percentage of the new home.
No, you wouldn't be entitled to anything from the new home. That's hers. She had that house before you came in.
So, okay, let's clarify this. So she had an existing home that she rented out, and they bought a new home together?
They bought a new home together.
And he's not entitled to a percentage of that as well?
The new house he's entitled to.
Okay. That's what I'm getting
That's
at.
the matrimonial home, but
That's right.
her
Existing.
previous asset,
It's
that
not
is
entitled to
hers. And this is why she needs to have that marriage contract in place. Okay?
Now, this is normally a very tough conversation when the butterflies is hitting in the stomach. So a lot of times people don't have this conversation until it's too late. Sometimes when they might come to you or myself or the lawyer, they're like, "How long you guys been married? 3, 4, 5 years in the deal, and have you put together this agreement?" No. So what I want you as a professional to do is just give some insight. What's the cost to put together this agreement, and how long does it take?
Well, I'll give you an example. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. So I have a client who's currently going through a situation like this. Same scenario. Okay?
Right.
Now he's here. It's not working out. They do have a child together.
Yeah.
And it's not working out. And so, in this case, I'll tell you this, in this case, they did not own property together.
Right.
Okay. But here's the other situation. And I want you to think about this, whether you're a woman or a man. These are just some of the things that you have to think about, and forget about the butterflies. Take the emotions out of it. I always say, especially when I have to make certain decisions, I always say, take the emotions out of it, because when you put emotion into decisions like these, you end up getting the short end of the stick, right? He's here, they're lovey-dovey, the relationship breaks down after not even a year.
Yeah.
And so he moves out because, they can't live together anymore. And guess what he does? Guess what he does?
What does he do?
He goes on welfare.
Whoa.
He goes on the system.
That's a whole not a level of protection. Okay.
That's a whole nother level.
Yes. So he goes on the
now, guess
welfare.
what?
How does that affect you now as a sponsor?
Guess what? So now she has a 10-year sponsorship, and every single month she has to pay I was going to say the devil, but she has
That's not nice.
she has to pay social services $800 while supporting his kid.
Because now his kid becomes her sponsored or adopted kid into the system.
No. They have a child together. The child was born here.
Right.
But I'm just saying, she's supporting him $800 a month.
You have to pay back into the government.
Pay back into the government because
and
he's sponsored.
The child.
And now she also has this new child that she has to take care of as well. Plus all her other expenses and her business overhead.
You caught me off guard with that one. I've never thought about that, because I'm always thinking asset is the loss of pension, the loss of equity in the home, the loss of real estate, the loss of these things. And you saying to me now, the person could also become a financial liability to you through the social welfare programs.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm going from the average person's perspective. There's no way you can protect yourself against that. How can you?
No. I won't say it, but that is a whole nother scenario. So this is what I'm saying, because there are persons here that are watching this podcast that don't have, like you said, any assets, and they're in this situation. Right. So another way you can protect yourself is maybe not do it.
Oh, maybe not sponsor them.
Maybe not do it. Yeah, I'm serious.
Okay, fair enough. That's one thing.
Maybe not do it. Maybe not sponsor them.
Once they hear, they have the potential to do anything they want, whether with you or without you.
They're your financial responsibility.
That's pretty good to know. So folks, I hope you're paying attention to that, to what Sue is saying. If you go international and bring your spouse, you better be sure that he or she is exactly what you want, and ask 20 million questions to make sure that's who you want to be with, and vice versa. Because today we talk about asset protection. That person could also become a social liability, not only to you, to the rest of us. Because once you're in the social program, us as working class or business people, we are paying for your existence if you're in social program. And if you go in the welfare system, not only the rest of us is paying, you who marry that husband or wife will be financially responsible for their daily lifestyle, and even though your relationship has been broken down. That is crazy.
It's the law.
Explain to me the difference between a cohabitation agreement and a prenuptial agreement?
So a cohabitation agreement is between common law partners or people just moving in together. That is a cohabitation agreement. So it's mostly for, again, common law. A
Right.
prenuptial agreement, a marriage contract, is for married couples, right? And the difference between the two is cohabitation. When you have a cohabitation agreement, they are not they're not entitled to property. Okay, number one.
Okay.
However, if this person, you in the cohabitation agreement, you want to have the agreements, who's responsible for what?
Right.
Who's responsible for the light bill, the gas bill, whatever? Are you splitting everything halfway? So that is a cohabitation agreement. Now, here's another thing. The marriage contract, you're entitled to property. So you can have a marriage contract prior to, if you, let's say you, Frank, you own a number of properties. Before you get married to someone, you can say to them, okay, you are not entitled to any of these properties. However, if we accumulate any assets together while we're married, you're entitled to 50% of it. Right. So that is the marriage contract. All right. So that's the big difference between the two. One is entitled to property and the other is not. So here's how you can also draft up a cohabitation agreement. Let's say, and I made a video about this. Did I release that video yet? I think I did. And this is about having these agreements in place. Because let's say, for example, you meet someone.
Right.
And you guys are, rented together, and then you decide to buy a property together. But only one person's name can go on the legal documents as far as the mortgage and the deed, because of whatever reason. But you both contributed to the purchase of the home 50-50. And you're living together, you're nice, you're happy, and then something happens. And then the relationships against, it starts to break down.
Yeah.
Now, okay, what happens to the lady's deposit? Her name's not on the property because she trusted, let's say, John. And she never thought John would say, no, you didn't contribute to it. Right. I'm not giving you half. I'm not selling it and giving you half the property. I'm telling you real life scenario. So what? Prove it. Prove to me that you gave me that money to pay for the house. I'm not giving you anything. Go away.
That's cohabitation.
That's cohabitation.
So she never signed no recourse of any form of benefit, even though you're financially contributed. And with prenuptial agreement now, you are in a marriage situation, you would have had fair share whether you contributed or not. Exactly. Because you'd be protected under the Family Law Act.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. So why are so much people cohabitating? More important, cohabitating without the agreement.
They're in love. Sometimes you have the other person saying, I'm not signing anything. Well, you don't trust me. The guilt trip. They get guilted into, he thinks, if he has to sign it, he doesn't want to, I don't trust him. And, I trust them. And, you think I'm going to leave you? Or, you're saying we're going to break up. So those are some of the objections people will get when you're asking for these things. I say to you, if someone is not willing to sign it, walk away.
That's it.
Yeah, walk away.
So
go find somebody else to trick, sir.
So that's that side of it, where two people want to be with each other, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Let's discuss the angle we call financial scavenger. Someone see you have assets, they see you doing your thing, your business is booming, you have a lot of investors because you're the investment advisor, and that person wants to leverage you through the manipulation of love to access your money. I would call that person a financial scavenger. How do you bulletproof your finances against individuals like that? Because, and before you answer, there's a lot of, especially in our communities, a lot of our females that are financially established. A lot. And the reverse is for the men. So we probably going to be seeing or hearing more of these sad stories where these women are being leveraged through love for the financial benefits. How do they protect themselves?
I think the first thing you need to do before you have to honestly, I'm going to say get an agreement in place. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't care if Jesus put him in your lap.
Right.
Get an agreement, because there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah. And me comes through the Jesus line as well many times.
Absolutely. You meet them in church, Frank.
God has sent me for you.
Yeah, you meet them in church, you go to church. Oh, he goes to church. He's next thing you know, he's also sleeping with Sister Ann over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so listen, forget, like I said, and I can't, legally, you can't force somebody to do anything.
That's correct.
I'm just coming to you as a woman, from an advisor that's seen it, that know women that's gone through this.
Yes.
Protect yourself.
So
the first thing you want to do is protect yourself.
And what's the cost for this protection? Because a lot of times people worry, it might be too expensive, or
don't worry about the cost.
What's the cost to protect yourself initially?
The cost, if you're, I would say maybe around $1,400.
That's it?
Yeah, man. It's not expensive. You pay a lawyer, right? To write up the agreement for you.
There you go, ladies. $1,400.
And then you know what, you want to test them?
Uh-huh.
If you really want to test them, I'll tell you this, ask him to pay for 50% of it.
The prenuptial agreement.
Of course.
Yeah, well, isn't that fair?
I think it's fair.
Because he can be protecting his own assets as well.
Exactly.
If
you came in with nothing. So what's the big deal?
Right.
Just sign the thing.
Yes.
What's so hard in that? And
right.
Honestly, I'm a realist.
Yeah.
And this is why I've gotten this far, because it's not that I don't have any emotion, but I'm always thinking, what does this mean for me? How does this benefit me?
Right. So there you go, ladies. For $1,400, you can sleep at night.
It's cheaper than you going to court and trying to, get all your assets back, or fight for your stuff.
So I'm going a different angle now, Sue. What's the chance that he or she signs it and then try to challenge it 5 years down the line?
I think once it's in place, the person signs it. And I'm not a lawyer, so let me just put that out there. I'm not a legal professional. I'm just speaking from my own experiences through, the work that I do. But that, I would say, take it to an attorney and find out. I don't think it's a very easy thing for you to challenge a prenuptial agreement, especially if it's signed and it's notarized.
Right.
It had to be like excruciating circumstances. If you were coerced, if it was fraud, then you can, I would say, you may be able to challenge it. But other than that, it's a legal document, a legal binding document that you signed when you were of sound mind and body.
Oh, the other thing is now, so can we review or modify either a cohabitation agreement or a prenuptial agreement 10 years down the line? So for instance, when I marry you, we had a little bit of investment. Now with 10 years in, I have a lot more investment, but I don't like you as much anymore because we've had our differences. Can I go and modify that prenuptial agreement to impact me more and affect you less, or vice versa, whatever it is? Put more and more.
So you mean like if you can change the agreement in order to be more favorable to you?
That's correct. Yes.
Again, that I would say you can change it. You can make changes to it. It's not you can make changes to it. And but is the person going to sign it? They don't have to sign it.
Agree to my changes.
Yeah, they have to agree.
Which most likely they're not going to if it works against them. It's like giving away free money. Okay, that's fine. So here's the other thing now. How soon do you think is too soon where the other person shouldn't get anything at all, even though the system say they should?
It's never too soon for me. I mean, if you came into this relationship with nothing, why are you entitled to anything?
Because
that's just my opinion.
Right.
If there are things that I'm accumulating along the way while we're still together, or we're married or whatever, fine. But if you met me and I had 20 properties, I had $2 million or $5-10 million in the bank. Why do you think you're entitled to that? You
Right.
came in and I had it. You didn't contribute to it. And that's just, again, Frank,
Right.
me being, not thinking emotional wise. Yes, you can benefit while we're in the relationship. You can have maybe, some women, they get what do you call it? A spousal allowance every month to
Right.
do. Yeah, in that way, yes. But to say, okay, we broke up and you want half of what I had when you came in, I don't think that's fair.
So I'm firing shots at you. Then give different angles of situation. So here's the situation: we marry, we live together for 5 years or 4 years. We have a couple of kids. The relationship breakdown. I move out and leave you. I did not get a divorce. We did not seek a divorce. And this house we purchased for 500,000, 30 years down the line is worth about $2 million. You work, you bust your asset, you pay off the house, you have zero mortgage on it, is worth $2 million now. I'm still on title. I left you 25 years ago. You didn't get a divorce. Do I still entitle to 50% of that $2 million?
Absolutely.
You did not sign a prenuptial agreement or a cohabitation agreement.
Yep.
So you work, you pay off this house from 500,000 and it's now worth $2 million. I'm walking in and picking up $1 million check.
It's the law.
It's the
I'm
law.
entitled to it. What am I going to be? Oh, no. I raised those kids, sir. Frank,
Yes,
always
yes,
remember.
you did. But and I left you with those kids.
Exactly.
And now
You
I
left
left.
me with those kids.
Right, but you lived in the house with the children. I didn't take you out of the house. But I'm coming out to pick up $1 million check. Do you think that's fair
Yes,
for me to get $1 million check?
I think so. And you know why? And this is why people need to have these agreements.
Right.
If you are saying, okay, you're leaving your spouse, and I know many people that do this, and I know people right now that's in that same situation, Frank. They've been separated for, oh my gosh, some of them 15 years. And they've never filed for divorce. They've
Yeah.
never even applied for a legal separation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, come on. So, because of those reasons, this is the consequences of your actions.
Right.
Because you couldn't be bothered to put these things in place. You couldn't be bothered to find out what are my rights if I left my wife and kids in the house and I paid it off.
Right.
You didn't put the time in to reach out to a lawyer or even go on Google and search this information up. So absolutely, the other spouse is entitled to that $1 million. This is of no one's fault but your own.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you different shots now. So have you noticed a lot of folks, they have the parents living with them. Either parents come in later on in the years as babysitter for their kids or take care of their grandkids, and the parents living with them. It could be your mom or it could be your husband's mom, both sides, either way. How do we protect the family from having a medical liability from mom getting sick? Mom never worked much jobs in her life. She have no medical coverage on either side. How do we protect mom from if mom become a medical liability to the family in her golden years? How do we protect that from a asset protection? Because I might say, well, it's your mom, you pay for it. You might say, it's my mom, I pay for it. Whatever. As a family decision, how do we protect mom becoming a medical liability to our household?
So the number one thing, like I said, Frank, you can't force people to do anything. But, once you're armed with the information, okay, it's your mother. I think you should take out the insurance on your mother and be the owner of that policy. So if mom gets sick, the burden is not on the entire family. Right? You brought her here. Yes, I agree to you bringing her here. But now that she's here, your mother is your responsibility. Get her some life insurance. Get her some critical illness insurance, depending on what the age is. The cutoff to get a critical illness is 75.
Okay.
Put the same protection you put on yourself, put it on your mother, because at some point she's going to be dependent on you financially, medically to look after her, right?
Right.
Outside of that, that's all the advice I can give someone. You can insure a senior up until the age of 85.
Does mom is old? Mom don't know anything about insurance. Mom don't even believe in insurance. Do my mom have to agree for that insurance policy to be taken out on her head?
Absolutely.
So if
You
mom,
cannot take out insurance on someone without them agreeing. Up until the age, once they're 16 years and older,
right.
you need their permission. You need a signature from them authorizing you to insure them.
There you go, folks. So it's very important that you educate your senior parents if they're living with you, or even if they're alive and not living with you, educate them on the process of becoming a medical liability to the household. GoFundMe is not an option, right, Sue?
It's not.
Right. Medical life insurance or medical liability, where you can, as Sue said, you can protect your senior parents through insurance. Now, is it expensive?
Yeah, it's going to be more expensive because they're older, right?
Right.
Their time horizon is shorter.
Right. So the
Right.
potential
So
of
their
anything
mortality
going on.
rate is a lot like, okay, so if you have a 70-year-old mother and you want to take insurance out on her life expectancy is probably to age 82, 85,
Right.
maybe 90, right? So the insurance companies, they take consideration the cost of insuring this person. Okay,
Yeah.
you know what? I insure them today and the policy's in force, and then next month they pass away. They didn't
Wow.
even get a month's premium, right? So
That's crazy.
insurance rates are based on age and health.
Yes.
So if you have a parent right now who depends on you, who's in good health, I say, you know what? Get some insurance and put it on them. Even if it's just enough to take care of their final expenses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
$25,000.
$25,000 coverage. That cover funeral and all that stuff.
Yeah. And if you're strapped for cash, do 15,000. It'll pay for a nice cremation.
Nice. Nice. There you go, folks. Any other thing you want to add to this asset protection secret? Any other situation have you seen that people are doing out here, especially in the community, that can become a financial liability to themselves?
So one of the things that I notice is that, and this is very, very important, okay? You have children. I know a lot of us, especially women in my age group, we have children that are now adults or in their late teens. Once your child starts to drive, you need to put insurance on them. You know what I mean?
Car insurance?
Not just from the car
It's life
insurance,
insurance. Life insurance. Okay.
life insurance. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. You know, I had a client, she has 4 young children and she insured all 4 of them. And you know what she said to me? She said, Suzette, I just don't want to be worried about money while I'm grieving my child. Like, can you imagine me grieving my child and I don't have any money to even bury them?
Yeah.
That was her thought process because she had she's thinking 1, but she has 4. So where does that leave her now with the other 3 children if one were to pass away?
Right.
So parents, and we hear of young children. Tragically, yesterday, a young child was ran over by a car in Ajax, pinned under the pickup truck. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, this child was 13 years old riding her bicycle. That parent had no plans of burying their child, but now that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people, don't want to think about, planning their children's, or don't want to even think about their children dying.
Right.
But in reality, again, you have to think about these things. They happen. You know what I mean?
I'm going to give you a different angle, and I'm not sure if you've experienced this before. Husband and wife living together, and either party refuse to do their taxes and owe the government tax from previous years. Now, the government finally cranked down, and your spouse now becomes a tax liability to you. How can someone protect themselves or deal with a situation like that?
Wow. So your spouse owes taxes.
Yes, $100,000+ in taxes from either previous years or current years. It could be with you, without you, but now you guys are married.
That I've never encountered, so I don't know how that one would work out. I would say speak to a tax accountant and speak to your lawyer to see what your rights are and if you're liable for that debt. You know what I mean?
How about creditors as well?
Huh. Well, the creditors for sure.
Right, because a
I
lot of
mean,
times people get involved in relationships with people who have poor credit or who have a lot of debt. Not even
yeah.
so poor, they might be paying the bills, but they have a lot of debt. Now,
So
when you
that's
marry,
another thing.
yeah, go
Here's
ahead.
the thing. Here's what I want to tell you. If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you better make sure that person, whomever you're marrying or you're gonna hook up with or have that agreement with, you better make sure that they have good credit. Because when you guys decide to buy that house together
Right.
and they don't qualify for the mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you're gonna have to get that contractual agreement.
Absolutely.
You know what
Now,
I mean? Your credit speaks about your character and how responsible you are.
right.
No, I'm serious, friend.
Absolutely.
If
I
you
mean,
have
I'm with you.
someone that never pays their bills on time, that never take care of their financial
Okay, yes.
responsibility, you need to evaluate, is this someone that I can build a future with? Because your future doesn't just include, love, and it include building wealth and, getting, putting assets together.
So here's a different angle. So the person credit is good, but they're high in debt. How do you deal with that?
Sign an agreement.
Can you protect yourself against their debt liability coming into the relationship?
Yeah, you put it in the agreement
That
that
you
any
would
debt
not
that
be
they accumulate
responsible.
within the relationship,
Right.
that's their debt. Any debt that they came in with, that is
Right.
their debt.
So it gets excluded from your financial assets. It doesn't go against your financial assets. You don't have to pay their debt off or whatever it is.
Yeah, but speak
Yeah.
to your lawyer.
Speak to the lawyer. Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're
Take a
doing
phone.
up that agreement,
Mhm.
you ask your lawyer, am I responsible for their debt? Or like, how can we mitigate those factors? I want that in the agreement. And then the lawyer should be able to guide you into how you can protect yourself that way.
This sounds so unsexy. What do you say?
Um, it's not supposed to be sexy. It's supposed to be logical,
Bring
right?
your credit report, bring your debt, bring your assets, and I meet you at the dining table. And if we agree, we're gonna make
I'm
love
telling
after.
you, I don't want nobody with any bad credit.
Yeah.
Can't even buy me a plane ticket.
Yes.
Can't even surprise me with a car.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I
Get
surprised
your
with the
life
car.
together and
I
then
surprised
come
the
back.
car in your name and your credit.
You know what? And you know what? Women do that. I don't know why
Yes.
women are still doing this.
Yes.
Why are you putting your car in his name? Like, why are you buying a car for him and putting it in your name?
It's to help build this credit.
Oh, no. Let him get a Capital One card with $500. A prepaid Visa. Build your credit up that way.
Yes, yes, it's very important. Now, I want you folks to pay attention. It's not that we male bashing here, or we signing off on the approval of the female, but we go by profiling. It's nothing biased against either gender. We go by profiling. In our community, we see more financial stability among the women than the men. So the women risk most to lose in a relationship downturn. And that's what it's all about. So if you listen, you say, well, these guys sound like they're talking bad against men. We're not. We're talking about the person who have the most to lose. And it says, who has the goal made the rules. Okay. So that's why it tends to happen. Now, don't feel that there's not women out there who are not financially responsible equally as men. And they come into a relationship where they can become inheritance or beneficiary of a man's wealth. And in that case, the men in those positions do the same thing. Get yourself a prenuptial agreement or a cohabitation agreement. Protect your assets from anyone. That's why it's called financial scavengers. Anyone come into your life within a short time frame, according to Sue, one day too early is too early. It's too soon.
Yeah.
So it's important that you protect your assets against anyone. Don't get it twisted. We're in a wealth building platform called North America. So if you're in this country and you doing regular stuff, just working a job, not even investment, just working a job. You can be investing money to your work plan and all this kind of stuff.
Work pension.
You're building wealth. And and in a short time frame, you can have a lot of money if your work pension perform right. And all of a sudden, you go somewhere or you meet up with someone and you make poor financial decisions by not pre-qualifying them properly, and you take on a lot of debt and you can lose a lot of your asset. Your years upon years of earnings can go right down to 50% or zero, forcing you back into the workforce to keep working in your senior years.
It's a fact.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
So how can these folks get access to you? So how can you help them protect their asset? How you can help them minimize their liability? How to get access to you?
So I just want to say the information that I share, I am not a legal attorney. I am not a lawyer. So if you want more information about the things that I have discussed here, reach out to me and I will direct you to an attorney that I trust that can give you the right information and that can help you put these agreements in place. It is very, very important for you to protect yourself, protect your hard-earned cash, protect your assets, and more importantly, protect yourself and your family. And if you want to reach out to me, you can visit my website, which is www.empoweredfinancial.ca, and click the link that says get started and book a 30-minute consultation with me. And I will dive into everything that we discussed here today.
Is there a cost for your 30-minute consultation?
The cost is free.
Absolutely free. And just before we go, I want to put another spin into this asset protection, especially for merging families. Merging families, husband have kids from previous relationship, wife have kids from previous relationship, they might have one or two together. How do you protect the assets for your kids that's not your husband's or not your wife's in case something happened? Your previous child or your child from previous relationships get protected or get the fair share of mom or dad assets being split?
You have a will, an estate plan and a will. You have a will.
An estate plan.
And you put exactly how you want your assets to be divided among each child, whether they're yours biologically or not. You say, okay, my stepkids get this, and you're very detailed in the will. So you will decide in the will how the assets are divided amongst the heirs, right? Now, with that being said, you also need to make sure that you and your spouse are on the same page, okay, when it comes to the will. But you don't need him to even make your will. Did you know that?
Oh, you don't need your spouse to make your will. You make it by yourself.
Yeah, you don't need to wait for your husband or your wife to go write up your will. But that's a big misconception too, by the way.
Right. So people think they need the spouse to approve their will. What's in the will?
No, you don't.
The will is a personal agreement with you and whoever you want to give your money to. Right.
Yes.
But I also, when it comes to kids and stepkids, don't you think there also going to be a sense of unfairness when wealth gets delivered?
It depends on the relationship with the child.
Because how could I call you mom for 25 years of my life, and then if something happened to you pass, I think you my mom because I live in the house with you and my dad, and then you pass, and then I see my brother, which is your real son,
who never ever came and looked for you.
Get
$1 million,
and I get $25,000.
There's nothing you can do about it. That's just pure personal decision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a case recently. I'll leave you with this. There was a case recently where this lady, she's from an Asian culture. And in the Asian culture, male are seen as more superior than the female. And when the mother passed away, she had 2 children, a son and a daughter. So when she passed away, she left a bulk of her estate to her son, which I would say 95% of her estate, she left that to her son.
Wow.
She gave pretty much everything. And she gave her daughter 5%. Yeah. Well, and the daughter, and this is a fact, you can Google this case. The daughter went to court and she won.
She challenged the estate.
She challenged it based on her case of gender bias.
Ooh, is this in Canada? Is this in Canada?
Gender bias within the culture. And she won. And when the mom died and she even said to her brother, hey, I don't think it was fair. I think you should give me. He was like, hell no, take me to court. So she did.
Wow. There you go, folks. The Family Law Act protects family. In this case, is changing culture's view. Once you're in Canada, the Family Law Act applies in Canada. So wherever country you're from, what culture you're from, that might not apply in Canada.
Yep.
And I think the Family Law Act is pretty fair. Some people think it's unfair. You not preparing yourself to sign an agreement with your spouse doesn't make the system unfair.
Exactly. And build, talking about that one too, Frank. I'm gonna just leave you with the last one. There's so many things that I could tell you, that real life scenarios. So there was a gentleman who was in a relationship, and this is why it's important for you to update your beneficiaries. He was in a relationship when he was in his early 20s with a lady. Another girl, they were all the same age. At the time, they were living together. They broke up. He was working at a company, and on his beneficiary, he named his girlfriend. Anyways, fast forward to like 38 years later, he dies. He has over $1 million in his 401k. You know who was the beneficiary?
Previous.
The ex-girlfriend from 38 years ago, who lives in Texas, who's married and has 4 kids. Can you imagine?
Yes, it's called failure to plan a proper estate. That's what caused that, folks.
And now his family, his family's in court now, trying to get them to reverse it. Yes. It's not happening.
Absolutely not. I thank you very much for coming on the show, Sue. I got to get you on back again. The next time I want to talk about trust, family trust, estate trust. And that's going to be a long topic. So, and how ones can protect their assets using trust agreements. Today is just how you to get your prenuptial cohabitation agreement and put insurance in place to minimize your parents, older parents, or even your kids become a medical liability to you. So again, contact Sue. What's your phone number again, Sue? Go ahead, on your website.
416-559-9242. You can send an email to info@empoweredfinancial.ca.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on the show, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Young and Rich University, educating folks on how to change their financial situation in a step-by-step process. Today we had Sue Chambers discussing protecting one's assets from financial scavengers, people who want to love you and take your money from you, or people who come into your life with odd or weird intentions, or just things going bad and not the direction that you both wanted to go. How do you protect that? For $1,400, $1,500, whatever it is, you can talk to a lawyer. They can put together a cohabitation agreement, a prenuptial agreement, and protect your assets. My name is Frank Corbin. We'll see you again. Thank you.